Good morning and welcome to First Atlantic Commerce. Here on the FAC Live Show, we cover all things e commerce in the Caribbean. Our guests join us from all over the world and generously share their expertise, knowledge, and insight into the digital world and how we operate within it. If you join us from LinkedIn today, don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content that will help you grow your business online. Today, we're talking about digital wallets and more specifically, their impact on the Caribbean payment ecosystem. As always, I'm joined by Chris, the CEO of First Atlantic Commerce. Hey, Chris, where are you?
How are
I think
you?
he's dodging. I think you
Yep. No,
dodged
I'm
Brett,
here.
right?
I'm here. I'm
Good.
here. How are you?
Okay. Good. Good. Great. So, as always, Chris is the co-host today, and we have the privilege of speaking with our panel of guests. Let's start with Martin. He is the CEO and founder of Penny Pincher. He has won over several awards for his innovative ideas and has been recognized as a thought leader in the fintech and retail space. As we're joined by Nicholas, he's a two-time Olympian. Wow, have to ask some questions about that. Fintech visionary and entrepreneur born in the island of Grand Bahama. Nicholas serves as the chairman and co-founder of Kanoo Pays. And finally, we have John Matthew. He is a digital evangelist and is currently employed to a fully digital fintech startup called TFOP 2021 Limited, creators of Lynk, Jamaica's newest digital wallet. So, welcome everyone today because we have so much to get into. I know we are in different parts of the world, dodging the rainy season that it is mean to be in the Caribbean. So, I hope everyone is doing okay. Yeah? We good? Just want to check on the audio there. We good? All right, great.
Very well.
Yeah, man, I'm good. We're good. We're good.
Okay, amazing. All right, so let's
All
get
good.
into it. I'm just gonna throw this question out there because, as someone who's a consumer and loves shoes, we don't really care about how it works. We want to know how fast our shoe is gonna get to the doorstep. So, for those folks who want to access the consumer like me, what is a digital wallet? Who wants to take that question?
All right. I'll take that one. No problem. Since I'm the newest digital wallet in town, I know that Penny Pinch and Kanoo have been before me. So, well, we're from Jamaica, an emerging market, and we are slowly becoming more digital. And as you know, COVID had some negative components, but it also brought the appetite for digital for not just the consumer but also the merchant. So let me go to the definition of what a digital wallet is. So a digital wallet, it's an app that's usually on a mobile device or some online service. It allows you to store your value. That could be credit cards, debit cards, gift cards, or even e-money, which is digitized cash, into an app. And then of course you can use that app to pay for goods or services, whether online or in person. Most of the time, digital wallets are stored on a mobile device. Why? Because most of us now have a smartphone, right? The penetration across the Caribbean for smartphones is now over 100%, which means that most persons have at least one point something. I don't know what a point something phone is, but most persons have more than one device. And the wallets are stored on these devices because this is what we use for day-to-day activities. And from there, it unlocks the ability to electronically and digitally pay with a merchant, whether it's in person or online. So it's a new way to pay. It's very convenient, very safe, and it's the future.
It's funny how you mentioned the wallet, the mobile aspect of things, because in the digital space, we usually look at mobile penetration, and in Trinidad, there are more mobiles than there are people. Uh, so, needless to
Just like
say,
Jamaica.
exactly. And I know initially, if you know the history, and of course you guys do, would be a lot of folks would actually prefer to have two SIMs. So, because when you call for different networks, you tend to want to say, okay, if I'm going to call this particular phone, I'm going to use this particular carrier. So I know that's the history there. But in the context of what we're talking about now, from a digital wallet perspective, because we hear a lot of these words and we want to understand what it means, I want to ask Nicholas, is digital wallet and e-wallet the same thing?
So e-wallet, I assume you mean an electronic wallet, digital wallet, more or less the same thing, in my opinion. But as we try to simplify things as much as possible. So in this new world, we have digital payment tools, and as the colleague just explained, it's a new way to pay. So much like you have your leather wallet and you put your physical cash in your leather wallet, you would put your digital cash in your digital wallet, which would be your phone. What we do at Kanoo is we have expanded upon our digital wallet solution to make that wallet all encompassing, such that is a multi-tender environment that houses all forms of digital and electronic payments. Um, Expand not just your traditional central bank digital, well, the central bank digital currencies, but also we enable you to house your Visa, your MasterCard, your American Express credit and debit cards right in that wallet, digital gift cards as well as digital coupons. So all forms of payment tenders, merchant engagement tools can be digitized. Crypto assets, digital assets can be digitized, thereby providing a digital record of authentic ownership. And it's about affecting the finality of payment, essentially. And in a digital environment, that finality of payment is effectuated and guaranteed, and it's transparent. So you need safe protocols and built around your wallet to be able to foster safe payment at the point of sale, which happens instantaneously. So that is a major distinguishing factor in terms of the evolution of the wallet environment. We see a lot of education having to go on, but you'll see, digital wallets populate in many different ways. So even, you even have companies that, to put it in a simple phrase, your loyalty points that any company uh, internally offers to its client. It could essentially be facilitated, distributed, managed, monitored in a digital wallet or an electronic wallet. It's basically so you have closed loop currency or payment tenders or units of value, and you have open loop units of value. And our wallet, we envision to encompass all. Um, I don't know if that answers your question as to distinguishing electronic wallet versus digital wallet. Maybe, in terms of an omnibus solution, you want to distinguish between the two. I would say maybe an electronic wallet would fall along the lines of a closed loop issuance internal loop system that's housed on a ledger based in a ledger based environment. And your digital wallet would be more mobile based, where it's actually transactional oriented towards a point of sale.
Thanks so much for that, Nicholas. You definitely answered quite a number of questions there, in addition to using a lot of words that some of us may not know. So, before we get into a question I want to direct to Martin, I actually want to ask Chris something, because a lot of times I think wallets, I think, you may have Uber Cash. I was in New York the other day and they're like, oh, do you want to top up your Uber? Similar to Amazon as well. And shout out to all our folks chiming in right now. Can you let us know where you are watching this from? It's so awesome to see your comments. I'm coming to your questions in a minute. So, for the context of this conversation, we're talking about Caribbean payment ecosystem. I want to ask Chris, in order for you to have a wallet, or digital or otherwise, do you have to have a credit card? Because we do have a relatively low penetration credit card scenario in Trinidad. I can't speak on behalf of Jamaica. You guys could chime in there.
I will.
But when we could look at that as well. But in the context of this e-wallet conversation and digital wallet conversation, do you have to have a credit card to be part of this discussion, Chris?
So, I mean, the short answer is no. You don't have to. But if you want to be an all-encompassing wallet, it is certainly recommended to have, a credit card option as part of the way to actually load the wallet. So you could be just a pure cash-based wallet where somebody goes to a physical location and hands over cash, and then that wallet is updated electronically from there. But it really depends on what you're looking to achieve. So, for example, if you have a wallet where you want people to, the Caribbean has a large diaspora, for example. So if you want to be able to send money home to family and friends, and you want to be able to, say, top up money for somebody else's wallet, the easiest way to do that is certainly from a credit card perspective, because it's already in your physical wallet. You can take it out, you can punch in the card details, and that's really where the FAC platform or Paratrans platform would fit within this world, is to enable that load from a credit or branded debit card as well. So it doesn't have to be a physical credit card, it could be a branded debit card as well. And then now in places like Jamaica and Trinidad, where you've had the local loop debit cards, they're becoming branded now, Visa or MasterCard branded. So you can actually use those cards to be able to top up a wallet online or purchase online, which historically, 80% of the population that had those card brands haven't been able to do that. So that opens up a huge opportunity to do that. And really, from our perspective, our mission is to really grow the ecosystem in general. So whether that's helping merchants directly set up purchasing via their website, or enabling loads through wallets, that's where we're this sort of, I guess, super connector, and being able to provide that back end connection platform to be able to make that happen.
So thanks so much for that, Chris. And I would have previously had the comments about the penetration for credit card. And since we have so many Jamaican flags in the comment section, hi, Shelly Carter. I
Big
feel
up,
like
big
we
up,
need
big up.
big massive.
Yeah, man.
Chime in. Who wants to chime in there?
All right, so I can start with Jamaica. So we have a very large underbanked population, and we define underbanked as persons who get a bank account just for salary, and once they get paid, they go to the ABMs, they take out all the cash, and then they don't utilize the banking rails for any other services. These are the persons who don't have credit cards. And most of the facility, and Chris spoke about it, we need, for us to, the ability to cash into our wallet requires a branded card. That's a Visa or MasterCard. Most of these persons have the closed loop debit cards, as the banks are slowly rolling out the branded cards. So they're disenfranchised from benefiting from cashing in via a card with a wallet. We saw this problem early when we were starting the company. And luckily for us, we are a part of a very large financial group, which has the largest bank in Jamaica with the largest footprint of ABMs. So what we have done is we have turned on the facility for our wallet to tap into the ABM network, allowing the unbanked and the underbanked to access the ABM to cash in and cash out without a card. So we walk up to the ABM, you select cardless transaction, you select Lynk, you scan a QR code, and then you instruct it to cash in or cash out. So to answer your question, you don't need a credit card to use a wallet, but it is highly recommended because most of the cash coming in will come from the bank, and these guys usually utilize credit cards for that service. So we offer services for both the bank and the unbanked via our wallets.
And as someone who only recently entered the world of credit card, it is amazing when you get those points. Amazing. All right. So I want to ask a question to Martin, but we're going to have to do it after the break. But I want to just kind of, get you going in terms of the answer. A lot of folks have this relationship with cash. And being part of Penny Pinch and in the fintech space for so long, I want you to share with our audience after the break where that impact is going to be for them and how it's going to make their life much easier. So we'll be right back.
Thanks, good.
Good morning and welcome back to FAC Live Show. We cover all things e-commerce in the Caribbean. Our guests join us from across the world and generously share their expertise, knowledge, and insight into the digital world and how we operate within it. If you're joining us from YouTube, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content that'll help you grow your business online. Today, we're talking about digital wallets, more specifically, the impact on the Caribbean payment ecosystem. So we have my guest today. We have Chris, the CEO of Rees Atlantic Commerce, our co-host today. We have Martin, who's the CEO and founder of Penny Pinch, as well as Nicholas is a two-time Olympian and the co-founder of Kanoo Pays, as well as John Matthew. He is part of the fintech startup called TFOP. So, welcome again, everyone, to the session. If you're now joining us and you want to learn more about what we discussed earlier, not to worry, when this live is finished, you could actually click on the replay. So, before we went on the break, I specifically asked Martin a question. Do you remember the question, Martin?
And repeat it for the audience sake.
Okay, well, we're talking specifically to those who may not be interested in this digital world and they're like, oh, digital e-wallet, there's too much to learn. I prefer to see my cash. I want to see it under my bed, So let's talk about the importance of this conversation for that type of person
Yeah,
and the benefits.
you definitely have those that rely on cash heavily, as John would have said. People just get their salary deposited, go to the ATM, and transact using those physical paper. But why not those same transactions that these individuals can use with cash? You could also do it with your card and now with your mobile wallet. So, cash is definitely still king in majority of the region, and the reason that it is because there's no infrastructure for cash deposits, and because of the relationships, like for example that Lynk has with their parent company, they're able to do ABM cash deposits. That's a huge factor in the adoption of digital wallets, because it bef- before you think about how do you move people cashless, you need to first think of how do you convert that cash into digital, which is creating that network of agents that customers can go to and deposit their cash to first see the benefits of the wallet without being able to actually fund the wallet using cash. You can't really convince those older folks that this is a solution for them. So it is a critical part that we as fintechs need to figure out. And we're also launching a cash deposit network in partnership with Shopee. So users will be able to go to their credit unions, be able to deposit cash directly to their app and transact from there. And for those who are still sort of, why should I get into the digital wallet space, or why should I reduce on my need for cash? It's a matter of convenience. And we as fintechs need to translate that to our audiences better by providing a more full ecosystem of products. Without a full ecosystem, it's hard to really provide value to the user. You need to be able to serve them in multiple ways, multiple transaction types, and multiple personas as well. Hope that answers.
For sure, and it's such an important discussion now where we are. A lot of things are online. That's how we spend most of our time. And I want to definitely shout out to those who are joining us online now. To the Bajan Massive, already from a coupon flying fish, as well as I've seen someone from Dubai. I'm seeing Haiti, and of course Trinidad and Tobago. Which, by the way, I was at the ATM yesterday and someone was in front of me and she's like, what happened to the envelopes? Because she's trying to deposit her money. And I said, you no longer need it. You just put the money in and the ATM automatically counts it. She's like, but do I have to put it in one by one? And I said, no, you just put everything and they will tell you how much is in there. And I found that interaction quite interesting because a lot of the times we're afraid of things we don't understand. So I want to put a question out here for the panel. What the heck is a digital? Like, how does it work? How does this digital wallet work? Because there are a lot of folks who are now joining us who may not have heard initially how we started. But just for the us layman people who don't understand all these fintech fancy terminologies, could you break it down for us? What is it?
I'll go ahead and start the convo. So, let's let's define this in relation to our market, the Caribbean. So when we speak of digital wallet, typically we're speaking of a mobile app that customers could download, and then the idea is that you keep the all digital experience. And what that means is you won't need to leave your house or deal with any physical documents to be able to use the digital wallet. So the way that it typically works, and the three of us fintechs have mirrored the same approach with slight differences, where onboarding occurs. So I would download the app as a consumer. I would then go through an onboarding process, which is all digital. It's designed in that way, where I am able to verify my identification. And that's typically done through a live video selfie. So customers would, record a video selfie of their face and then scan both ID documents. And depends on the jurisdiction, there might be even more technical capabilities like in Jamaica where they allow you to verify the ID directly with the government's database. So that's definitely a plus for automating the onboarding experience. So once the consumer gets onboarded and they've submitted their verification of the ID, we would then compare the face to the front of the ID, the image, to ensure that that person is actually the person, behind the phone. They're the individual that is on the ID. They're above 18 years old, and we do all of our AML and PEP screening on the spot. And once they've been verified, they're able to do essentially two things: store money and spend money. Funding their account using various means actually. And I come back to the completion of the ecosystem as a main importance for us fintechs. We need to be able to allow our customers to actually make use of the wallet. And when we speak of funding, we're speaking about cash. We're not only speaking about cash, we're also speaking about other people with bank accounts, credit unions, debit cards, and now we're also including remittance. So, we're happy to finalize both a MoneyGram and Western Union integration that allows people to receive their transfers directly to their penny pinch app without, you know, visiting a branch or going on a lineup. So, these are the ways that we make use of the wallet. So funding the account with various means and also spending on the account. So you could do things like top up your digital and flow phones, pay all your bills in one place, pay a business, send money to a friend. And these are the typical features that all fintechs follow. These are the core features, core functionalities of a digital wallet. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that, Martin. And I think there's some conversations happening in the comment section as well. So, guys, if you have any questions for our panels today, please let us know. Let's try and squeeze as much information from them as possible. Shout out to Jimmy Clavia, who is joining us from St. Lucia. It's really a joy to bring this session to everyone today. So, in the digital wallet conversation, to me is still, I mean, in the Caribbean, it is a new conversation, especially from if you're a business owner and you are creating an environment for your consumers, because a lot of us are, I mean, literally our heads are this way most of the day. So we want to capture our audience where they are. What would be the risk from a business owner perspective to even explore the digital wallet space?
All right. Yeah. You go, Chris, and then I'll go after.
Go ahead.
Nicholas, you can start and I'll go. I'm sorry, you're going to start.
Oh, sure. No, thank you. Yeah, okay. Basically, the risk from a business perspective, business owners are concerned with with theft. At the end of the day, privacy and security issues are paramount. One of the things that we sit and talk with our merchants in the Bahamas is this element of security. And when we actually lay out the facts, in addition to security, there's also a cost element. And most businesses don't recognize the cost. We find, especially in the small business market, or we find they don't recognize the cost of transacting physical cash. There's a cost to that. With and I love what Martin expanded upon in terms of the framework for overall adoption of digital wallets, and why would somebody want to use a digital wallet? Why would a business want to use a digital wallet? And it comes down to safety, convenience. It empowers you, and it includes you. So those elements, it really like it's the incentive. What is in it for the user? What am I like? You mentioned earlier, you love to use your credit cards because you love those points. So that's an incentive to you. So the digital wallets of the future will be wallets that provide incentives for users, undergirded by top-notch security protocols, and to ensure privacy of data, transactions, as well as user data. Those are the key elements from a business perspective. In addition, what we have seen is it's not enough to deploy a digital wallet to a business that simply sends and receives. A business has reporting requirements, needs, accounting needs, reconciliation needs, multi-channel acceptance capabilities that need to be enabled. So as a business, you're looking at what tenders can I accept? I want to, for my business, I want to be able to accept every tender that exists, that a customer walks through that door or touches my online store, whether that's Bitcoin, CBDC, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, a gift card, open closed loop, or a cash tender. And we have facilitated through our agent network. And unfortunately, we're not backed by any large financial institutions, unfortunately, which would be great to have on board to kind of create some more synergies. We are a disruptive technology built by the people for the people. So we're more of a ground up movement. And what we see in the Bahamas is having to use those agents in the Family Islands, food stores, gas stations. We engage those businesses and we turn those businesses effectively into our bank branches. And that's where individuals go, the underbanked, the unbanked, and they can access cash, physical cash, and they can deposit physical cash. So they no longer have to put their physical cash under their mattress per se. And the Central Bank of the Bahamas, what we have done is we've taken a risk-based approach to financial inclusion, such that with the use or deployment of the fintech solution and the sand dollar, there are levels. So there are levels to inclusion, meaning that there may be individuals within your society that may be disadvantaged and may not be able to get a NIB number, a driver's license, passport. These persons are excluded. However, the regulations allow up to $500 for those persons to be included in a digital environment with a mobile number. That mobile number provides them access to a basic level of financial inclusion that empowers them. So businesses in the new age, they're seeing a need to adopt, a need to inculcate the infrastructure required to be able to accept all of the various means of tenders of the future so that they can service their client. The risks inherent for those businesses are security, user data, transactional data, and their desire is to have full reconciliation, reporting, integration, and efficient, safe operations at a lower cost that effectively deposits their cash immediately at the point of sale, eliminates the need eliminates theft, and provides a lower cost. And if that entity or that business were to engage in, as Martin termed it, the agent services, we now enable that cash generating business to not only mitigate its risk and lower its cost, but now participate in the digital currency industry by earning revenue on physical fiat conversions.
Okay.
That's
So thanks a lot for that, Nicholas. And I know John Matthew wanted to get in part of the discussion as well, but we're going to have to go on
Yeah,
a quick
yeah.
break. And when we come back, you can extend that discussion, John Matthew, as well as we have a lit comment section with a lot of questions that we need to answer. And we have a short time. So we'll be right back. And welcome back. Thank you for joining us at Freeze Atlantic Commerce. The FAC live show covers all things e-commerce with guests joining us from different islands, sharing their knowledge on this digital world that we're all part of. You're not going to find these conversations anywhere else. Trust me, I looked. That's why we're doing this. So be sure to like and follow us. If you're joining us on YouTube, smash that subscribe button as well as LinkedIn so you don't miss a single live show. Be sure to comment with any questions and we'll try our best to answer them today. We're discussing digital wallets and more specifically their impact on the Caribbean payment ecosystem. So we're going to welcome our guests back in and we're having this discussion. I mean, if you have a business and you're exploring this space, I think this is definitely where you perk your ears up. So I don't know if John Matthew wants to just close off on what Nicholas said earlier.
Sure. So, and the question was around the risks that we'd have to explain to the businesses who want to start to accept the digital wallet as a payment channel. And what Nicholas said was very important. If you go to the typical website now, from some American retail store, you're going to see multiple options for them to collect payments: credit cards, debit cards, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Afterpay as a part of Buy Now Pay Later, and anything else that they know that the customer base is going to be utilizing to purchase. And that's because each payment channels are segmented by customer needs. I might be comfortable using Cash App. I don't want to use my credit card. You as a retailer or a merchant would have to ensure that you meet me where I'm comfortable by giving me the options. But Nicholas mentioned the risks that the merchants has now with cash. Cash is expensive to move and manage, but there are also risks going digitally. And I don't know about the other Caribbean islands, but our Bank of Jamaica, our central bank, has created a whole framework around how digital wallets exist in the space. And a big part of that is to protect the consumers, which would be the merchants and the typical end user. So as a digital wallet, you have to partner with a bank because our funds must sit in a regulated entity by the BOJ. Unlike cryptocurrency, where the funds can sit in some decentralized database and you get access to it if you're lucky with some of the wallets and some of the exchanges. FTX died last year and a lot of persons lost their t-shirts and shirts. But with us, in Jamaica, our wallet has to be backed by a commercial entity, and all the users, whether they're a merchant or a regular consumer, all the funds are stored in the bank, and that's one big area of security. So the same companies that you entrust with handling your credit card payments, the same banks that you entrust with holding your money. Once you collect it from your consumer, you chuck it over there and put it in the bank account. We are regulated by the same entity as a digital wallet. And that's a major component of trust. Of course, outside of that, Nicholas mentioned the other components. We have to be super secure. The phone is digital, which means that you're susceptible to some type of digital theft, whether it's phishing, maluse, misrepresentation, impersonation. So we have those things built into the wallets for the consumers and the merchants to protect them. But the biggest component for us, which is what we explain to our merchants, is that look, we're not like a cryptocurrency wallet. Eventually we want to be able to store cryptocurrency, but we're not like a cryptocurrency wallet. And this is because we are backed by we have to be backed by a commercial bank, and all our funds must sit in a regulated entity, so that there is some control mechanisms around how the funds can be accessed and disbursed to the right owner.
I
So,
if I could just add to that, I just wanted to provide clarity on the central bank digital currency and what a central bank digital currency is, because I just want clarity for the users, right? We want to understand digital wallets. So all fintech companies partner essentially with a bank to deposit centralized funds and then issue digital currency against that in a ledger-based system. What the central bank digital currency is essentially your finite ownership as represented by the central bank. And that transactional value, or that unit of value or coin or current unit, essentially sits on the blockchain of the central bank, which is secured, which is locked down. So fintechs engaging in a central bank digital currency, in order to effectuate a true sovereign model for finite payments, you're going to have to in you know implement secure technology that acts as a service arm, an extension into the central bank. So your funds reside on the central bank, in the central bank. And the fintech wallet in the CBDC space is essentially moving, transacting, and enabling you to have use for that. And there's a system for users, and then an additional element of technology and platform for businesses to have different uses.
well, thanks for that clarification, Nicholas. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the comments and just try to answer as many questions that we can during this short period of time. So, we're going to start with Cavell Alexander, who is on YouTube. What will it cost the user to utilize a digital wallet compared to using debit and credit cards? And I know it might shift depending on where in the world you might be, but maybe just a general idea.
With CBDCs, the transaction is free. So in a central bank digital currency should transact user to user in this exact same manner as a physical dollar. So the principles of fiat currency, as the CBDC market evolves, must evolve and merge to mimic or mock physical currency, the characteristics of a physical currency. So in the Bahamas, what is mandated, any peer-to-peer transaction, it also enables bank connectivity. So we connect through the ACH via the central bank blockchain sand dollar sovereign wallet system. So those transactions today are free. There are no costs to move money on a CBDC rail today. Now, where the value is in the delivery of services to the businesses to be able to create the ecosystems to enable the most trade and flow and engagement amongst all of the individuals within the community.
All right, I think that we got the
I'd like to
answer
add to
there.
that. I'd like to add
Mm-hmm.
to that. Can you repeat the question?
Sure, it is. Gosh, it just Cavell Alexander. What will it cost a user to utilize a digital wallet compared to using debit and credit cards?
Right. I'd like to make the comparison. So, typically with a debit card, it's attached to a bank account, and with fintechs, we try to be very transparent and simple in the way that we do our pricing. Typically, banks charge you for a list of items such as declines, and it varies with the banks, obviously, but these are typical charges that are usually not seen or applied with a digital wallet, such as declined transactions, over limit fees, annual fees, and these sort of costs that you usually don't get with fintechs. And it's essentially a more simplified pricing model. We usually just make small fees on transferring to merchants, bank transfers, and whatnot. So it is definitely cheaper when you compare it to having a simple check-ins account with a debit card attached to it, and not to compare the credit card where there's even more fees, such as hitting your limit, late fees, and whatnot. So with the digital wallet, you definitely see a more simple approach to how we price our customers, because we know pricing is also a big concern. So we try to be as simple as possible as compared to traditional institutions.
Okay, so we're gonna get straight to Trisha Martin on LinkedIn. How long is the onboarding for digital wallets?
All right, so I'll jump in. So for us, the digital wallet, the onboarding process can range from 2 minutes to 5 minutes, and that's just because we need to validate that Trisha is Trisha, which which is involved with taking a selfie, and we have to compare the selfie against the ID. We also have to do some checks against the government's databases because people are very creative in the Caribbean now, and fake IDs is something that people can create very easily. So the system needs some time to adjudicate and check against the relevant databases to ensure that Trisha Martin is the person who is creating this wallet so that she can utilize it on the ecosystem. But the process is fairly simple. A phone number, email address. In Jamaica, we're talking about a tax registration number. All of us, every country has some type of some tax related identification. The supplying of a selfie, which is done through the app, so that we know that you are alive. And I'm not using a picture of Trisha to open an account. It has to be a liveness test. And then of course the scanning of your ID. And we usually in Jamaica we have three government issued IDs. There's a driver's license, your voter's ID, and your passport. We ask you to take a picture of back and front of them. Of our passports are a single page. So you take one page, one photo of your passport. We validate it and then you get into the app. It's all automated, all digital, and it happens within 3 to 5 minutes.
I'd like to add something. There are certain cases where certain customers cannot make use of the digital verification. And that could be for a number of reasons that we've encountered, including having an older device that's not supported. Their screen may be the camera may be actually broken or cracked up, and that wouldn't allow them to scan their images. So we've also seen certain issues arise as we've gone through the years, and we've sort of went about this by creating a similar approach but more manually done, where we have the users submit their information or come to a physical office. But these are really just for the users who cannot use the platform or the tools that we provide them, and they need an alternative way to sign up, and we don't want to hinder them from getting a penny pinch account.
All right. So thanks for that, Martin. This question is coming from Nicholas Collins. If I have an online store, how difficult is it to facilitate payments from various digital wallets? Is there a regional standard? So I'm going to direct this question to Chris. Can you assist Nicholas? You're on mute there, Chris, I think. Yeah.
Of course.
There we go.
So I haven't seen a regional standard per se yet, because each country has their own central bank or monetary authority, and there are different requirements for each country that you're going into. So I think there is definitely room for a regional standard. I think that is requires quite a lot of work, for sure, and that really gets us into this conversation about sort of interoperability between wallets as well, right? So, digital wallets is a super hot topic. As you've seen from the amount of people that wanted to sign up for this session today, wants more information on it. It's seen as a really strong tool for financial inclusion within our region. But I stand to be corrected. I don't think I've seen an actual sort of regional standard per se. But there are ways that we can all work together to help bring that online, because it's really for the benefit of all of us. Even though we're traditional rails on credit or branded debit cards, we still have a part to play in this, and it's all about providing choice and access to people to be able to grow, the whole ecosystem in general.
All right. Thanks for that response, Chris. Needed that information for sure. So we have a break that Chris is going to take charge of. And when we come back, we actually have a question from Jamal Rice on YouTube that I think is a great way to close off this session. So, Chris, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thanks. And we're just going to see a short session now from our SVP of Business Development and Partnerships, Eldred Garcia, on Omni payments within the Caribbean.
Hello, this is Eldred Garcia, Senior Vice President of Business and Partnership Development for First Atlantic Commerce. Omni-channel allows merchants to accept payments from a number of different channels, whether it's in the virtual or physical environment. In the virtual environment, or card not present, we have e-commerce, traditional website businesses, and then we also have MODO, mail order, telephone order. Think of a call center environment. In the physical environment, there are a number of different channels to explore. Some of them are hybrid. For instance, face-to-face, unattended, and mobile. Mobile is one of those that play in both the card not present and the card present environment. Having a multi-channel environment or an omni-channel strategy allows merchants to capture revenues from a number of different payment avenues, as well as accessing clients from beyond its borders. Finding the right omni-channel strategy can make the difference between generating revenue in one or multiple revenue streams. Join us with First Atlantic Commerce as we explore and develop a multi-channel or omni-channel payment strategy with your business. Join our YouTube channel to explore additional information on omni-channel payment strategies. Thank you, and until next time.
And welcome back to the FAC Live Show. Today we're discussing digital wallets and their impact on the Caribbean payment ecosystem. So we are going to welcome back our panel. We have quite a number of years of experience. I don't want to count it up to, say anybody's age, but we have a lot to learn from everyone on this session. So I have a question here from Jamal Rice on YouTube, and I really like this question because I think it's also kind of meta. How will you address the financial inclusion, accessibility, and low financial literacy? It's a very broad question, and I think that is not
It
a
is.
singular answer. But I think getting some insights in your opinion and your experience would be a great place to start. So, John Matthews, you
All
want
right.
to start this?
Yeah, sure. So there are two things. There are three things in this question. There's financial inclusion, there's accessibility, and I'm assuming accessibility could mean two things. It could mean accessibility for persons who have, some type of disability, or accessibility meaning places that they can utilize access and utilize the digital wallet. I'm going to answer on both of them, and then of course financial literacy. So with financial inclusion, one of the big components of the digital wallet is because people find it difficult to get a bank account, right? So what we have done is we have reduced through the central bank. We have been able to reduce the KYC requirements, which is the know your customer requirements, to open a digital wallet. All you need in Jamaica is your name, your phone number, your email address, your TRN. Most persons have a TRN to conduct any type of business in Jamaica. So it's something that you don't need to do a test to get. You can just go to the tax office and get a TRN and a TRN on your face. You don't even need an ID to start. So we have a tiered account approach. The first tier, which is built for financial inclusion and the underserved market, is name, phone number, email address, TRN, selfie. Through that, you get access to the system with limitations, of course. If you want to access other financial instruments in the app, then you have to supply us with an ID. The next thing is financial literacy. What we learned in our first year of Lynk is that people didn't understand the digital wallet. They didn't understand the space. So we have invested a lot of money in financial literacy through YouTube, through webinars, through face-to-face and underground executions. And it's very costly, but it's also very beneficial and very rewarding for us to know that people now understand the purpose and the value that they can get from a digital ecosystem. And we have partnered with the central banks, we have partnered with the commercial banks, and we partnered with other entities to bring financial literacy into the space, and we're going to build that into our app as well. Saving components, rewards for saving towards goals, all that type of stuff. And then the last thing is accessibility. So I'll speak to accessibility on the first angle, which is how do you access the app? Utilize your cell phone. We do have high mobile penetration in Jamaica. We have more phones than the population. Everybody has 1 point something devices. We have also allowed the app to be data free. So whether you're using Flow or Digicel, which are the two telcos in Jamaica, you can utilize the app for free. So you can access the app anywhere you have access to a network, and you can spend in the ecosystem. On the other side of accessibility, we are for disability, we are actually launching a very large initiative within our ecosystem to allow persons who are visually impaired to utilize Lynk. We met with Jamaica Society for the Blind. We had them test the app. We have a lot of work to do, but the objective there in terms of that level of accessibility is to allow for the persons with disabilities to access the app and utilize it, because they are also very vulnerable when utilizing cash. So a digital solution for them is a big push, and we want to help promote and keep them safe as they spend on the digital rails.
All right. Well, thanks for that. I want to let Daniel Rupla know that you can rewatch this session once we are finished. You can go back to the event page, and the video will be there for your viewing because it's recorded, and you can rewind and pause and go again. So I want to further this discussion, kind of closing it off in a bit, where I want to start with Martin. Maybe you have a story you can tell where the benefit for the digital wallet was clear with a consumer or user of the technology. Do you have any local examples?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we see, so, as a St. Lucian.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead. Mhm.
Right. So to mention, we had this case study where, someone abroad that is a St. Lucian, so we have a large, diaspora. So that individual wanted to buy lunch for someone in St. Lucia. And, it's sort of hard to make a direct payment to a local merchant if you're not in the country and have cash or card. So, that person ended up using Penny Pinch, sitting in their home in America, was able to fund their Penny Pinch account, and then, using their St. Lucian ID, fund it using their debit card, and was able to pay the merchant locally for that lunch that they were, given to the friend or family. We've also seen other use cases, and I'll touch on the accessibility part, where we have older folks, so much older folks, receiving funds from their daughter or son that lives abroad. And sometimes for the older folks who just cannot use a phone or are not able to use a phone, the son or daughter will help them or aid them in doing so. We also try to lend a helping hand in the older folks making use of our app. But these are two great use cases where, if without the wallet, a transaction could not have been made.
Thanks for that. And we do have a solution massive in the comment section, so represent. All right. So I want to also ask Nicholas. We spoke about the risk and the benefits, and a lot of folks are also going through this drastic change of after we come out of regular world after COVID, trying to maintain some normalcy, but there's also this massive change. So, do you have any advice for business owners who are watching this, maybe thinking overwhelmed? There's so much to learn. What advice would you give them?
Boy, I am in the advice giving business, and as it relates to, what I tell businesses is to get involved, get educated, reach out to your local fintech providers, and just have conversations. We have a mantra. We believe you meet people where they are. We hold the hands of users and merchants. We try as best as we can with our limited resources to actually take the time to educate them. I mean, there's no other way around, like the financial education component, other than individuals like us, doing it, like yourselves, putting this show on, providing opportunities for people to learn, and then sitting down next to people and then walking them through it. If you talked about use cases, like we have thousands of individuals today receiving food assistance digitally, through the digital gifting component of the app, and that's tied into the Department of Social Services. And we have 80, 90-year-old grandmothers using digital payments today. And to get to that, took a lot of hand holding, education. We have financial education tools built, developed. Accessibility is one thing that is key in terms of the future. If you talk about CBDC payments, what happens when data is down, right? No, we haven't talked about data being down. Like digital payments requires data and connectivity, which is the biggest component to fostering this thing and making this thing sustainable. So one of the things that we are very excited to introduce is offline payment capabilities. And this will be distributed through a card-based technology, which we have exclusive access to. And we'll be deploying, introducing here in the Bahamas and elsewhere in the Caribbean. In addition to that, you have issues with verification and liveness. So in the future, you will no longer need even a mobile phone or a physical card to effectuate a payment. Once you can authenticate liveness, and I'm not talking about putting any chip or anything inside any physical body. Like this is your liveness can be authenticated and via a distributed cloud-based database that where you now provide the consent to access any particular protocol. Say that's an ATM, logging into an app, you use your fingerprint, you use your facial ID. Now with facial ID, there's been some challenges as it relates to dark-skinned persons, which the Caribbean makes up a significant component of dark-skinned persons. So we are also introducing elements of technology in the region that have solved the traditional problems with the AI with regards to dark-skinned persons being verified. So accessibility is key, providing ease of card access with Braille, and abilities for persons to essentially effectuate themselves being their own authenticator, enabling them to proceed and engage. And that is how we see in the future fostering financial inclusion, accessibility. And so I would advise all businesses, this is where we're at. This is where we came out of this. COVID was a introduction and an alarm bell. And I think now the technology is there, the people are there, institutions are evolving, and we must evolve, and we must engage, we must learn, and we must adopt. We're not proposing a complete replacement. We're saying to our businesses, hey, let's enable you and have your traditional system run side by side with the digital system, such that as the digital begins to gain more traction and your traditional transactions fall off, there will be no interruption to your business at the end of the day.
Thanks for that, Nicholas. And I think that's why Jamal Rice from YouTube question was so meta about the financial literacy, because technically this is what this is. So we are definitely here at FAC sharing that information. And I want to just close off the last question to Chris and asking about the integration of digital wallets within Fraser Atlantic Commerce. Oh, on mute again. Sorry, we had another word.
Yeah.
There we go.
So we can definitely provide integration for digital wallets, individually, in terms of being able to accept credit and branded debit card transactions. I think there is a bigger role for us to play in general with regards to, providing perhaps some interoperability between wallets, for sure. But I think really what it becomes on all of us is to provide solutions that reduce the friction points, right? So it's great for us to provide technology, but if it doesn't make it easier to pay than the current method that I have, or provide extra value, then what are we really doing, right? So, and I use example. I just went to I just did a trip. I covered 3 countries in 5 days, and I didn't use cash once within that trip, and that's including hotels, cabs, metros, food trucks, restaurants, etc. And I think really that's what we're trying to get to, where we get to this all encompassing cashless society at the end of the day.
Thank you so much for that, Chris. And I think on that note, we're going to thank Martin, Nicholas, and John for joining us today as we discuss digital wallets, the impact on the Caribbean payment ecosystem. And definitely shout out to our panelists. There's a continuous conversation that's happening in the comment section below. So if you have some time and you want to answer those questions as they come in, please go ahead and do so. We invite you to do so. Be sure to follow our page, First Atlantic Commerce, to be notified on the next FAC live show. And the discussion starts here. So see you soon. Bye.